Lobbies and gentlegrams, in today's episode of the tremendously torporous, towering Teletubby topping the Toronto trial starter, the sandwich-snatching, big back-having, baloney, henny, and ham-blasting, battery-acting, computer coward crybaby, the oval-shaped, augmented weight, Ovi-ho, Aubrey Glazer, glazed donut dunking, defamation-defending fiend of the freaky frontliner of the Hovey-ho operation, hip-hop's Henny Hogger himself, DJ the BJ Big Mac of Akademiks is ducking the smoke from the men and breaking out of his zesty zen to zap at the women from the comfort of his henny den. So let's break it all down, but first, like and subscribe for the rhymes in my pen. Oh, now lobbies and gentlegrams, it seems like Big Mac of Akademiks is on a long dummy mission to become the next 6ix9ine, because just in the last 2 weeks alone, we've seen him beef with DJ Head, we've seen him prop up Kanye West's racist and anti-Semitic shenanigans, we've seen him prop up Top 5 instigating violence for when Kendrick comes to Drake's hometown of Toronto on his GNX tour. And now he's adding a couple more names to his op list, but we're not talking about individuals of his gender. No, these ops are of the opposite gender, and just like his big head, these issues are anything but slender. So let's take a look inside his henny bender. And aside from just tackling his latest issue with two separate females within hip-hop media, we're going to take things way back and dissect a couple repeated themes that we've seen Big Mac and Akademiks have when speaking on women throughout history and try to understand the psychology behind why this man feels so tough to talk to women the way he does, but not have nearly the same energy for people of his actual gender. So chapter 1, when Big Mac of Akademiks was young. Now listen, before we kick this video off, I am likely forgetting many women that Akademiks has disrespected in the past, and I've left out all of the actual legal allegations made against him, plus anything physical, because I'd like to keep this focused on Akademiks' treatment of women in a professional setting, when he's behind the screen making content for the world to see. Plus, we'll take a little bit of a look at some comments Akademiks has made, which give you a glimpse into how he likely truly feels about a woman's role within society, gender equality, and how you should actually treat women. And like I said, we're gonna kick things off way earlier in Akademiks' career, back in 2016, when he was still on live streams acting a fool. And while the tone in which he spoke to women later on in his career only got more aggressive, confrontational, and hostile, his views on women haven't really changed since day one. Starting off with some comments he made about Kehlani in an early live stream back in 2016. Unprovoked, and while he did mention he liked Kehlani's music, Big Mac and Akademiks declared that
Kehlani's a basic ass bitch. Look-wise, she's basic. You know what I mean? To keep it real, like, musically, I like her. I like her musically. But other than that, come on, man. Like, I can't even get why they're sweating over Kehlani. We're not talking about Tunechi. We're not talking about Beyonce. We're not talking about Rihanna. We're talking about Kehlani. Like, come on, man. To be honest, I think Kyrie probably felt embarrassed that he was in that situation.
He also goes on in that same live stream to talk about Kyrie Irving, who had been on a boat with a bunch of women. And this is what Akademiks had to say about that.
My man Kyrie was on a yacht. Okay, little boat, right? And basically, he's turning up. He's turning up with a bunch of hoes. You know what I'm looking for? I'm not looking if these are black and white. I'm looking like, do they have the look, that little twinkle in their eyes that they're ready to fuck? What do you think Kyrie's on a boat with a bunch of hoes doing? Not speed dating looking for a life partner. What do you think he's doing? He's trying to find some stuff. That's what it is.
An Akademiks said that if he was in Kyrie's position, fresh off a championship, this is how he'd be treating the women on his boat.
If I won a championship, I tell all my that, yo, find the nastiest, sexiest, fattiest bitches that look also hot, and bring him to the boat. I'm about to have these. I ain't gonna be doing it, but I just want some hella loose. Listen, there's only one category next to hoes. Are they down to or not?
Now, as far as how Akademiks believes women view gender equality, these were his thoughts on that.
When presented with equality for women, they only see the things that they feel they don't match up with. They never want to give up the things they actually have the advantage on. Yep. So if you come to them and be like, well, now that we're equal, you're going to get treated like this. Like, what?
I believe it was in that same podcast that this little friendly interaction happened.
What did I do?
Yo, shorty. I was trying to dismiss you because you're broken and get a babysitter who's talking about you got to go home to your kid. Go home to your little and go handle your business. Go handle your business. Go handle your business.
I mean, think about when Vic Mensa pressed DJ Akademiks on Everyday Struggle, or Wale, or Soulja Boy, or when Drake told him to get off his live. We've never seen DJ Akademiks puff his chest out and have this much confidence, I guess you could call it. So now you could see that this behavior has existed long before Akademiks had the big platform he has today, right? He's been talking this way since the early days on Twitch. So now we get into chapter 2, his issues with SZA and the TDE crew. For some reason, Akademiks has not been a fan of SZA. And I'm not talking about her music, I'm talking about the way she looks. And you'll see that even to this day in 2025, he's still criticizing her and Kendrick over their tour. And that's what's led him into his most recent beef with several women within hip-hop media. But way back in the summer of 2023, Akademiks had some choice words for SZA and her body type.
I don't know what she did to me, but like I've been had it on for her. Like that I'm on time, and I'm sorry to say, yes, I'm on some liquor, but I don't care about these hoes. This little see-through thing, you gotta get the titties right. The titties is not looking titty, because right now I can't distinguish the titty from the stomach. You look like you just got a whole motherfucking like bulletproof vest on. Your whole shit is flat. Your ass be fat sometimes, but I'm telling you, you got to get back on the knife more frequently.
And you might be thinking to yourself, who is this guy shaped like 145 whoppers combined into one to give criticism on someone else's weight? Well, to give Akademiks credit, he does admit that he himself is also on the bigger side.
You love to eat. You are an eater. I like to eat too. But chicks like you, I'm going to go with the gut. Y'all gonna catch me with the Gucci Man gut. Y'all gonna have to deal with that. They already see my gut on the gram. Like, I've been trying to work out, like, you know what I mean? I had an in-girl on the hairs. I don't care. I'm a nigga. But y'all be fat just like me, looking like a linebacker's, your neck thick as like a 32 pack of Franks, and now y'all acting like y'all bad. You fat as fuck.
But although he criticizes his own body, he emphasizes that as a man, having a massive gut is permissible, but not for a woman. So he goes on to give SZA some more advice on how he thinks she should surgically enhance herself.
You know you've been under the knife mad times. We don't care how much you show that little BBL. You need to get back to the doctor one more time. And I'm going to stand on it, man. We're still but you got to get back to the doctor. It's not the cameraman. You're just like, yo, your body right now is in the part where you should be. I think you need a corset. I don't know what's going on with your head. Ain't no way you catch a tan on this part of your hairline, and then this part is like this another color.
And he caps off this very pleasant rant by emphasizing that he doesn't care how successful SZA is, how many albums she sells. Instead, what's important is how many chins she has, as if Akademiks doesn't have a lot more.
SZA, let me give you the truth. This is the ether that's gonna make your soul burn. I don't care how many albums you sell. You double chin chick.
Now, it is important to note that La Brianna, the Marilyn Monroe ho, ironically of all people, was actually the guy to get Akademiks to apologize to SZA after this absolutely revolting rant. The rant took place in around August of 2023 when Drake was gearing up to release his album For All the Dogs, which he wanted to get SZA on, and he did end up getting SZA on it. But at first, apparently she was so disgruntled by this rant that she didn't feel like doing the collaboration, knowing that Drake is affiliated with Akademiks. So Drake called up Akademiks, and of course, being the good Big Mac minion that Akademiks is, he listened to Labri when Labri said, look, apologize to her. She's very hurt over the comments you made. And I know that whatever triggered those comments could not have been that serious. And that's the biggest problem with all this, right? Is that Akademiks is very quick to jump out the gate to verbally attack an individual of the opposite gender or someone he feels is lesser than him. And you'll see later in this video how he approaches his conflicts with people he perceives to be in more powerful positions than him in much different ways. Don't forget, when he does approach these conflicts with women, this is how he views equality with women.
When presented with equality for women, they only see the things that they feel they don't match up with. They never want to give up the things they actually have the advantage on. Yep. So if you come in and be like, well, now that we're equal, you're going to get treated like this. Like, what?
And now we move on to chapter 3, Big Mac and Akademiks versus the female MC. Now, this chapter is mainly focused on Akademiks' issue with Megan Thee Stallion. However, the larger encompassing issue is that Akademiks does not have much respect for the new class of female rappers. The Megan Thee Stallions, the City Girls, the Sweeties. To him, it's HOE music, and there's no place for it anymore in hip-hop.
By the way, the City Girls can't sell a lick of record. One got a podcast, the other's Uzi's girlfriend. Meg over here, she trying to plan some real comeback using Tory being in the jail. You have Sweetie, who's basically, the last time I seen Sweetie, she was the fucking ring girl at Floyd Mayweather's fight or somebody's fight. The City Girl is dying. You know what's popping? Real that is not about, oh, let's go be a.
And you know what? I will give the Snacky Shaggy some credit here. It's been quite refreshing to see female MCs with a real message start to get some recognition in 2024 and 2025. We saw Rhapsody win a Grammy. Obviously, we saw the rise of Doechii. It seems like hip-hop is kind of restoring to a place where if you're putting real effort in your artistry, it's going to pay off. It's going to get that recognition it deserves. I was kind of tired of that whole City Girl era too, but that doesn't mean you got to disrespect these artists who are obviously still putting in a lot of work, but leave it to Akademiks to do so. His main issue here was with Megan Thee Stallion. Of course, he has some issues with Young Miami, which we'll touch on shortly, but in terms of HOE music, when Akademiks talks about that dying out, he's saying the one person that embodies that type of subgenre of hip-hop, it is none other than Megan Thee Stallion.
Like, listen, when we talking about like Meg. Like, I'm telling you, bro, I know like 15 rappers who claim they hit, bro. Like 15, like, I'm like, yo, hold on, bro. Yo, how more than you got features with? How more rappers than you got? It shit don't even make no sense. Feel me? I ain't gonna lie. One swear he to this day, I'm like, yo, ain't no way she with like 800 plays on SoundCloud. It don't even make sense.
And of course, Megan Thee Stallion didn't take kindly to these words, right? So she goes on to criticize Akademiks himself, to which he claps back saying, "Don't play with me."
You talking crazy about me? Like, it ain't even about Tory no more. Like, I'm like, yo, Tory got 10 years. Man, put that to the side. These playing with me. I'll crash out for me, man. And I'll crash out on all y'all for me. Stop playing with me like y'all think that any of these rappers could give me some money to really, like, brainwash me. Stop playing with me. Y'all broke. Me and Tory got into it already. I got a lot of love for him. I ain't trying to get at him. I still think he ain't did it. I'm sorry. You could get mad all you want. I ain't with y'all liberal agenda. That's my opinion. I feel like he ain't do it. But when y'all try to be trying to play with me like I'm some little that Tory bought, I got to start on all of y'all.
And of course, Akademiks has been one of the more vocal individuals to emphasize the fact that he believes Tory Lanez is innocent, even though he was proven guilty in a court of law. I don't have no dog in this fight, but I do believe a judge is a lot more capable of making a sound decision in a case like that than someone like Big Mac Akademiks. But what I do find ironic is that he's very quickly to play the Tory is innocent card when it comes to his narrative against Megan Thee Stallion, right? When she comes out and jumps at him for calling her an HOE, Akademiks has to go the route of saying she's trying to lock this man up in jail for a crime he did not commit. However, when we take a look a couple years back, this is what Akademiks had to say about the situation.
And Tory's a new shutter.
Maybe this clip is taken out of context. Maybe this is really what he believes. But flip-flopping aside, I'll emphasize it again. His opinion does not hold a candle to a real judge in a court of law. If I need his opinion on anything, it'll probably be what item I should get off the McDonald's menu. But now we get into Chapter 4, Saucy Santana inheriting the beef and entering the door. This is a funny one, alright? This all stemmed from Akademiks' blatant disrespect of one half of the City Girls, Young Miami. I'm not going to get into too much of what Akademiks had to say about Young Miami. You heard his rant about the City Girls era of hip-hop, what he thinks of those female rappers, and you've heard a lot about what he has to say about SZA, Megan Thee Stallion. It's a whole lot of repeated themes in his rant against Young Miami, but what is very funny is how just like Kendrick inherited Pharrell's beef with Drake, Saucy Santana stepped into the picture and inherited Young Miami's beef with BJ, Big Mac Akademiks, and took the biggest W we've ever seen a rapper have against Akademiks. And this was too great to look back on. First of all, not only does Saucy Santana perfectly summarize the type of character that Big Mac Akademiks is, perfectly calling out the disgusting way that Akademiks is constantly, unnecessarily aiming at the females within hip-hop. Aside from the profanity that Saucy uses, it's great to see that someone finally called him out for hiding behind a computer screen and challenging him to step out of McDonald's, step out of his den where he streams, and to actually voice these criticisms to Young Miami's face.
Akademiks, you keep talking about what the fuck Carisha said to you. Me being her best friend, I don't have nothing do with me. In the hood and in a lot of urban cultures, when you see boys that are acting feminine, that are being messy, that are being extra and doing that's what you address them as. Even as me being a gay man, I don't move like a and it's a lot of other gay boys that's feminine or whatever, but everybody don't move like you move like a and that's why bitches is always calling you that. It don't have nothing to do with nobody else. You always on the internet starting with bitch. I wake up this morning, you start with Glorilla, a girl. What the you bothering her for? What the you doing interviews? Keep talking about Young Miami for? You think nobody gonna press you up? We was hoping to see you at the Roots picnic, but apparently it was the wrong day. Nobody don't ever know where you at, but we all have public flyers and posters on our page. So Tuesday, Young Miami has a party in Miami. She having a Halloween party. Pull up on us. Pull up.
So Akademiks goes in and calls Saucy Santana a silverback. Mind you, he's critiquing Saucy Santana's appearance at 9 a.m. in the morning on a live stream while he is admittedly drunk. So Saucy Santana claps back with some critiques of his own.
9 o'clock in the morning. You talking about you drunk. But what you doing on my page? You fat. I told y'all, like, let me find out you on my page to get your morning off. Because how you found my page? How you on my story? Let's make it make sense. How dare you ever silverback, you, nickelback, quarterback, quarter pounder. I used to think maybe you want to Carisha, but now it's just evident you want to be Carisha. You short, sack, gerbil face. Imagine you being a straight. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. You get Saucy Santana, and you shake like Sister Tasha. Everybody know a drunk mind speak a sober tongue. You talking about it's 9 a.m. and you drunk, but you on my page, hamster body, turkey club, stack sandwich shape. You keep on. We gonna come around out of New Jersey. We gonna put a and roll your around like a rotisserie.
Again, great observation made by Saucy Santana that Akademiks does not want to actually sleep with Carisha, but he actually wants to be Carisha. He wants to be the one sitting around gossiping about other people, criticizing body types, chatting and patting and spilling the tea, but not ready for any actual repercussions to the words that he's saying. And I don't really listen to Saucy Santana's music, but there's definitely a way with words here. Hamster body, rolling you up like a rotisserie chicken. These are some of the most interesting threats I've ever heard. And Akademiks heard Saucy's proposal of rolling him up like a rotisserie chicken loud and clear and told Saucy to pull up to his headquarters. Because of course, he doesn't leave behind the computer screen, right? He's not leaving the comfort of his home when he's talking all this crap. So he tells Saucy, come to his house and they could talk it out over there. He's not pulling up to Young Miami's parties. He's not going anywhere in public after saying the things he said. I'm going to avoid showing you guys the long-winded Akademiks rants because I think Saucy's responses are way more entertaining. And we'll get to Akademiks' final response at the end, which is the icing on the cake. But yeah, this is Saucy's reaction to Akademiks' request for Saucy to pull up to his headquarters.
You see what type of we dealing with right now? Pull up to your headquarters. Headquarters is in the streets. I want to meet in the road. Yo, headquarters. What the fuck is somebody mean you at your headquarters for? That's the problem. See, I'm starting to think that maybe this is your aesthetic. You do the fake and then you sit in a room full of cameras and try to make a bitch crash out. You know, that's like, we from the hood. Oh yeah, that's like we tell the bitch, come in my house, cause I can do whatever I want to. You don't have to, me and you can meet, we want to meet you outside. I want to meet you outside. I don't want to pull up to no headquarters.
Again, perfectly summarizes Akademiks' intentions, right? He's trying to make these people crash out, right? He's trying to instigate this stuff so that if they do ever pull up to his house, A, it's good content, and B, he has a reason to call the police and run away from the problems that he himself incited. You won't catch him outside, you'll catch him in the headquarters. But Akademiks does surprisingly take Saucy up on the request of meeting outside for an actual confrontation.
Let me get an answer right now. Bro, I don't do celebrity boxing. Let's just put gloves on there. I'm not coming to your party. Ain't no lose-lose situation, man. I'm signing a waiver, you sign a waiver, let's get it cracking. I'm down with it for you. We could do it for free, we could do it for nothing. No cameras, no nothing.
Now, this led to Saucy saying some things that I can't really post on this video. A little too graphic, a little too savage. But all in all, Saucy's reaction led Akademiks to nearly start crying on his live stream.
I'm trying not to get canceled, but this does bother me. Bro, with everything we've talked about, bro, I've never cared about, I don't care what rapper got at me, bro, ever. But like, really, there's certain shit I really don't with in my life, and I would never do. But like, I gotta sit here
and act like I know I'm in America. I gotta sit here and just act like I don't with certain shit. I would never like it.
And finally, Gigantic Akademiks admits defeat against Saucy Santana, his first official backpedal in an internet beef. And after it was all said and done, the issue itself led Akademiks to tears.
Yo, just please. I'm telling you, I hate certain shit to the soul of me. I can't. I'm only pretending. Because if I say what I want to say, I will never be here for y'all. But that's not my content. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person who just have fun with y'all and some other.
So you see what happens now when someone finally brings Akademiks to a reality check, right? When they emphasize to him that with all these attacks on the women, he's actually acting like a little girl himself. Gossiping, yelling on stream, verbal insults, but literally cries tears and plays the victim when it gets taken to a place he's not comfortable with. And this is the classic psychology of a bully, right? This is the classic example of someone who probably did not get enough female attention throughout his adolescence. Because of that, he now harbors a deep resentment over women, as we could see based on his perception of gender equality, and how comfortable he is to yell and scream and taunt women from the comfort of his computer screen, right? It's all a facade that stems from insecurities, likely from his childhood, and again, everything is content, right? So Akademiks wins when he gets a rise out of people. If people react to his words, he wins, because then he can make more content reacting to them, and it's a never-ending back and forth with no real repercussions, because again, he's behind the computer screen. But when real requests are made to turn off the computer and meet face to face, that's when the tears start rolling down his face. And that leads us into chapter 5, the worst hip-hop media battle alive. If you guys are longtime fans of The Breakfast Club, you probably remember Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee. But a couple years back, Angela Yee had left the show, and in search of a new replacement came along the two individuals by the name of Jess Hilarious and Lauren LaRosa. Akademiks can already cross Jess Hilarious off the disrespect bucket list, because months ago he already, as he would put it, violated her. But we're not going to focus on that. We are going to shift our attention to Lauren LaRosa, who seemed on the surface to be the more, or I should say less controversial, out there, bold personality, right? You already had Charlamagne, who kind of filled that role. Jess Hilarious was a good second to that, and Lauren LaRosa was more on the unproblematic, softer side. But that doesn't mean she didn't do a good job. In fact, the Henny Hippopotamus actually agreed with me in that he thought Lauren LaRosa was a great fit for the show.
Y'all need this girl up there at Breakfast Club, this Lauren LaRosa chick. Yo, she was fire up there. I ain't gonna lie. She's the only time, like, even with respect to Angela Yee, she's the only person I've ever seen, like, do y'all news report. And I actually see, like, oh, she's coming with facts, not just reading off blogs. She's doing some work. She's pretty good. I hope y'all find a space for this woman because she is really good. I like her, and I don't know if she's ever spoken on me. I don't know if she likes me.
Now that clip was from around November of 2024, where he was championing her and encouraging iHeart to keep her on as a full-time host. And pay attention to what he said. He said she's the only one that's doing the news report and actually coming with facts. Now to give you guys a little backstory, I'm sure you know Kendrick Lamar and SZA have kicked off a stadium tour throughout the spring and have broken a bunch of different records, right? They've generated over $10 million on multiple different individual nights of their show, easily breaking their own record for the highest grossing tours of their careers, highest grossing shows as well. I believe it also became the highest grossing show in hip-hop in history. And if you're looking at it from the battle perspective between Drake and Kendrick, this isn't the greatest look for Drake, right? He had to fly to Australia halfway across the world while Kendrick was doing his Super Bowl halftime show, which also broke records for being the most watched Super Bowl performance of all time. Meanwhile, Drake is out in Australia, only doing arenas, definitely still respectable, but arenas only hold around 15,000 people in them. Meanwhile, Kendrick and SZA are doing stadiums with over 50,000 people. 5-0. Drake also had to cancel the tour early. He's been losing to Kendrick on the charts. And again, round 2 in this battle is really to see who's going to take the crown as the most dominant commercial hip-hop figure in the industry right now. Drake's 2023 It's All a Blur tour holds the record for the highest grossing hip-hop tour in history with $320 million generated, or a little bit above that. Kendrick and SZA are looking to break that since they're averaging around $10 million generated per show, and they're doing well over 32 shows, so you do the math on that. And this is not a good look for Big Macca Henny hogging Snackademics, right? He's on Team La Brianna, Team OV Ho, Team Toronto Temper Tantrum. So if it's really looking like Kendrick is now the one doing the bigger shows, having the higher grossing tours, having more #1 records. He actually just broke the record, him and SZA, for their song Luther, for having the longest running #1 hip-hop song on the Billboard charts in the 2020s decade. There's a little shift in the tide here, right? So Akademiks has got to do everything in his power to try and downplay what is going on here. And he's done that in a couple different ways. He tried to break down every little inch of the numbers behind Drake's last tour that broke the record for highest grossing tour in hip-hop in history, to try and see what excuse he could concoct to make it seem like Drake was still the more successful touring artist than Kendrick was. Kendrick is a co-headliner. SZA's on the tour as well. She's bringing her fan base along. They're doing shows outside of North America, so Drake is the bigger touring artist in North America. Drake, per ticket sold, actually charged a higher ticket price than Kendrick and SZA. So that means Kendrick and SZA fans are broke, and if Drake did this type of stadium, he'd be generating a lot more money, right? Because let's say it's 50,000 people in the stadium venue. Well, if Drake's ticket prices are higher, then if they both did that same stadium show, Kendrick would generate less than Drake. These are just a number of different excuses that Snackademics has been using to try to downplay what is going on here with the GNX tour, right? And once it actually kicked off and you saw it fully sell out, you saw 50,000 plus people in each venue, and you saw Kendrick himself taunting Drake, doing skits about depositions and lawsuits, performing a bunch of diss tracks from Not Like Us to Euphoria to Like That to Meet the Grams. I'm kidding, he didn't actually perform Meet the Grams, but drop a comment if you want him to. This GNX tour is undoubtedly a victory lap, right? And I would say Kendrick is the A-side headliner, right? It's called the Grand National Tour. That's based off Kendrick's last album name. SZA is definitely a co-headliner, and she's integrated very well in the show, but the set list starts and ends with a Kendrick song. The massive prop is a GNX car. The stage is designed very similarly to Kendrick's Super Bowl halftime show. Kendrick's songs make up the majority of the set list. That's not to downplay SZA's contribution here, but it seems like it's kind of like an A-side, B-side co-headlining tour, and Kendrick kind of takes the lead in terms of just the overall theme of the tour. But night one comes around and Snackademics, again, is trying to downplay the narrative that Kendrick is on this victory lap, right? So first he says Kendrick fans are broke. They can't afford tickets. It's mostly SZA fans in there. And because it's mostly SZA fans that are packing out the seats, they're not really singing along to a lot of the songs on the set list. They're only singing to Not Like Us because that's the only popular song Kendrick has, according to the Courthouse Karen conspiracy theorist Ovi Hose. Mind you, this is the same man, Snackademics, who had Euphoria and Not Like Us as his most listened to songs of 2024 on Spotify. But I digress. Again, he's trying to concoct the narrative that Drake could do it bigger, Drake could do it better, Kendrick needs SZA, Kendrick needed this beef to propel him to the level where he's able to sell out stadiums, and hey, maybe to a degree, that could possibly be true, right? It's only a very select few artists who can actually sell out a stadium. The Weeknd, Bad Bunny, Taylor Swift. Drake himself has never done a stadium tour. The only other rappers who have done it is Jay-Z, who did a co-headlining tour with Beyonce, who's done stadium tours on her own, and you got Travis Scott, who's done a couple stadium shows, but not a full stadium tour. Kendrick is the first rapper, aside from Jay-Z, to go on his own stadium tour. I say all this to say, no matter if it was the beef, no matter if it was the success of the diss songs, no matter if it's SZA being there, Kendrick is still on this stadium tour, grossing the highest generated hip-hop shows of all time. And if you look at footage from the shows, the crowd is lit. To try and downplay the moment, the milestone that this is for hip-hop, is in my opinion disrespectful to the culture, especially when you're blatantly lying and twisting narratives. Because again, you can look at footage and we'll see it very shortly. The crowd is definitely loud. On a side note, drop a comment if you're going to the tour. I'm so pissed that I can't go, man. I mean, I waited too late. The closest one to me, ironically, is Toronto, and I know that's going to be a crazy moment. But tickets have sold so fast that the best seat I could get is all the way in the nosebleeds for like $300+. And then you got to think of hotels, gas to get there, food and all that. I'm looking at like $1,000+ day if I want to stay there for one night just for the show. But if he's coming to your hometown, I highly suggest you go, because when will you ever be able to see a historical moment like this, right? A rapper who just came off the biggest beef of all time probably, dropped his album that has arguably the most bangers he's ever had on any other album in his career. And he's teaming up with arguably the biggest R&B artist right now in music in 2025 to put on this show in a stadium. So anyways, Akademiks was hoping he'd score some tickets from Dave Free. He actually got some tickets for the Mr. Morale show back in 2023 from Dave Free, who's part of Kendrick's team, of course. But, I mean, we played the clips of him talking about SZA earlier in this video, right? You think they're going to be sending him tickets this time around? I don't think so, but they did happen to send tickets to Lauren LaRosa and the rest of the Breakfast Club team. Charlemagne, Envy, all them, I believe they got a booth, and Lauren LaRosa tweeted out as she was watching the show saying, "I'm here and Akademiks lied. Kendrick liked that. SZA is effing performing her butt off. The show is fire." And you could imagine after not getting invited to see the show himself, this sent Big Macus Akademiks in an absolute frenzy, right? Don't forget, this is a female talking about him. You know how he reacts when a woman mentions his name rather than a man. He feeds off it. He's ready for it. So he tweets back at Lauren saying, "Bruh, what I lie about? F you using my name in a tweet for, cause you got some free tickets." Someone responded saying, "Calling her out her name may have not been necessary," to which Akademiks replied saying, "F any person, man, animal, child, person, alien who speak down on me. Stop playing with me. That B word shouldn't mention a effing goat like me. She a effing library attendant. All she gotta do is read a sheet. Big Ak ain't in your caliber." So now that Lauren called out Big Snackademics for lying, she's a library attendant, but a couple months ago, she was a great host who did a lot more than just read off a paper, according to him. But he continues drooling at the mouth like he would when he salivates over a Big Mac, saying, "New op identified. Lock in." And locking in is exactly what Snackadiddy would do. He would get on stream later that day to warn Lauren LaRosa that she has 24 hours to expose how Akademiks was actually lying about the GNX tour before he would absolutely go in on her.
I'm going to keep it respectful today because tomorrow I'm going to get disrespectful. Lauren LaRosa, because I've given you a lot of credit, I don't like people lying on me. And I'm telling you, I'm bombing on you tomorrow. I'm going to bomb on you in a way that Charlemagne is going to probably not want, or Charlemagne's my, so you going to have to look at him and be like, how you still talking to this when he bombing on me like this? So I'm going to just give you 24 hours because I don't like people lying on me.
He continues emphasizing to her that he didn't get free tickets. He actually had to pay for his. Dave Free did not gift him no tickets. I don't know how that's a flex, but anyways, again, he's questioning how he lied and basically telling her she needs to prove it or else the demon will awaken.
MetLife says 2 sold-out nights with Kendrick Lamar and SZA on the Grand National Tour begin now. You says, I'm here and Akademiks lied. Yo, Shorty, I lied about what? Shorty, I was supposed to be at the show tonight. You got calm tickets because you're Let me just keep it chill. My tickets don't come from Dave Free tonight. We pay tens of thousands of dollars. You said Akademiks lied about what? What did Akademiks lie about? I need to know what Akademiks lied about. Because if you can't identify what Akademiks lied about, when I call you out of your name, and I'm gonna call you out of your name tomorrow, I promise you, I'm calling you, your mama, your daughter.
Now I had to censor it out, but notice how quickly he is to call a woman an HOE. And remember at the beginning of this video, what he said HOEs are good for, right? Zero respect. And Akademiks has emphasized this, right? Like, Complex named him the biggest media hip-hop personality of 2024, and he said as long as he's the biggest, he is going to crap on anyone beneath him, because once he's not the biggest, his opinion won't count. And it kind of goes back to what Nipsey Hussle said about him, right? Like, this is a clown show that will inevitably end. The way you act now will just determine how many people wait on your downfall. And Akademiks emphasizes this, again, that Jess Hilarious and Lauren LaRosa are not on his level.
Bro, you not on my caliber. You a little p*** that's on Charlemagne's show. You, that Jess Hilarious, y'all need to really have some respect. That's a fact. So I'm going to still keep it calm right here because I'm going to keep putting this ask out. What did Akademiks lie about? I've never said that Kendrick Lamar's show was not lit. I've never been there. I was going to go there tonight. I thought my tickets was for tomorrow. I missed tonight. I never said that Kendrick Lamar would not sell it out. I've told everybody they're in a great contract with Live Nation. Live Nation is going to make all these things sold out.
And notice how he's making excuses for why he wasn't at the Kendrick show, right? Like, if you guys haven't been keeping up with what's going on with Akademiks or my channel, you might not know that he hasn't done the best things to get in the best graces of Kendrick and his team. And beyond that, he's really instigated a lot of BS, whether it's with Top 5 making threats when Kendrick comes to Toronto, whether it's with Kanye West, whether it's whatever he says on his own streams or on his Twitter pages. I don't condone violence, but I could definitely see there being some controversy if Akademiks actually does show up to one of these shows. And he emphasizes that he will be at one of the shows. But of course, when he's supposed to go in his town of residence in New Jersey, he ends up making the excuse saying he thought it was for night 2, not night 1. And as far as him saying that he never said Kendrick wouldn't sell out the show, Lauren LaRosa wasn't implying that. She was implying that Snackadiddy was trying to downplay how loud the crowd truly was. And we'll touch on that shortly when Lauren exposes him. But before we get to her exposing him for his lies, he asks her one more time, show me what I'm lying about.
So I need to know what you're saying I'm lying about, because I don't like people like you who really ain't really built nothing. You came from TMZ, you're on the Breakfast Club, you ain't built nothing like I had to build it from brick by brick. People cancel me or they try to cancel me all the time, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna bomb the fuck on you, and I'm telling you, I'm respectfully gonna give you 24 hours for you to figure out what I lied about, and I want you to tell me what I lied about, because when I call you out of your name, your mama, your daughter, your grandma, I don't want nobody to say, Ak, why are you doing that?
And in the meantime, before Lauren does expose Akademiks, we do get the beautiful Treasure Wilson, who is one of the co-hosts on the Cam and Mace show. She comes to Lauren's defense on Twitter saying, why is this man so angry? Lauren said you lied about numbers, and that translates to all of this? LMAO, I think you need a vacation. Akademiks responds to her saying, who are you? Literally, I'd violate, but out of respect for Cam and Mace, stay in a woman's place, shorty. And again, you see here, right? Like, he respects Cam and Mace, right? Or maybe a better word would be he fears Cam and Mace. So he doesn't want to go against someone who is on their side. So he says, I'm going to play cool on you, right? Like with Lauren, he's absolutely going off and he's warning her that he'll continue pushing things further because she made this statement. But with Treasure, he doesn't want to say too much because he doesn't want to disrespect Cam and Mace. But Cam and Mace were definitely not afraid to inherit the beef for their co-hosts, posting on their podcast page saying, hey Akademiks, Big Mac Snackadiddy, out of all the tweets you seen, you decided to say something back to Stat Treasure Wilson. Why? Because we poppin', but that's cool. We gon' make this clear and simple. It ain't gonna be no type of violating going on, especially with Stat. Fair warning. And they posted that with this video.
I never respected in the streets. That's why I always got the problems I got. Niggas would tell me, Mace, chill. No, chill for what? Who is this?
So Lauren would come with the facts like DJ Snackademiks had requested, saying 12:52 a.m. Saturday. What did Akademiks lie about? A thread. Number 1, despite what Akademiks said in a previous review about Kendrick Lamar fans not spending money, I was told exclusively from sources familiar with these numbers, merch sales for Kendrick x SZA in New Jersey alone are record-breaking, with SZA selling more for those 2 sold-out weekends in New Jersey because she's from New Jersey, but my sources made it clear that the way both Kendrick and SZA fans have been purchasing just merch alone, these 2 last nights were record-breaking. And she would go on to show proof that Snackademiks was talking crap about how broke Kendrick fans truly were.
Again, I don't want to dismiss this dude. I just think his fans is broke. His fans is a bunch of that don't have a lineup. They got no haircut, no job, no deodorant. One of these with hot breath. They're just gonna rap a bunch of these niggas still thinking about control. Like, of course these niggas can't. They're not taking care of their kids. Why the f you think they're gonna be able to pay $400 to go to a concert? So as I said, if Kendrick Lamar was giving away these tickets for if y'all niggas on food stamps, if y'all unemployed, if you get a 20% discount, if you ain't get a haircut since 2012, this will be packed. It will be sold out in a minute. But these are bums. I gotta be honest.
And Lauren continued, now granted, that's a given when an artist is in their hometown. But we know right now nobody's running to spend money, which I think was his point. So to have fans pulling up, selling out your shows, and dropping coin should be talked about. And I know he mentioned the tickets would eventually sell out once prices dropped, but fans weren't giving broke this weekend. Then Lauren goes on to address the fact that Akademiks was trying to downplay how loud the crowd truly was by saying the Kendrick x SZA show was giving karaoke despite what Akademiks mentioned in a review. This is actually what made me mention him in the tweet. He's become Kendrick's tour Yelp recently. I remembered seeing his video about fans not singing along and low energy and the convo that people were trying to have about Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, because that was another critique that people had, saying at the actual venue itself during the Super Bowl, people weren't actually singing along to Kendrick's performance. Lauren continued, had me looking forward to seeing what the crowd energy was like. It was on fire, and not just for Not Like Us. And then she backs this up by playing a clip of Akademiks himself trying to downplay how loud the crowd was when Kendrick performed his verse on Like That, and comparing it to a Drake show, which he says Drake is not the best performer, but that's because the crowd knows every song word for word, so it becomes like a karaoke event where everyone is just kind of singing along to the song.
Y'all are gonna call me a hater, but I'm just asking this question. And yes, I'm gonna use the artist that he's dissing on the song as to juxtapose my argument with. I don't know if you've been to a Drake show. I've always said, I don't think Drake gives the best shows. The reason why, it's a karaoke in there. Drake don't sing half the time. Every time I go to a Drake show, I lose my voice. You sing every song, you know every song. Like the whole crowd, like.
She posts another clip of Akademiks talking about how there's not really any diehard Kendrick fans in the crowd. They're not really singing along.
The building is packed. But I'm wondering how many of these motherfuckers are like diehard Kendrick fans, because I ain't gonna lie, Like That was a huge moment. I would think the whole crowd would be rapping his verse. I'm only hearing one with a camera rap the verse.
She posted another clip of Akademiks talking about how, or at least implying that maybe because Not Like Us was such a big moment, people are really only there because of that song, and that Kendrick can't really do stadiums again without a song like Not Like Us.
I know Kendrick could do arenas. I know this. I'm not saying Kendrick's a small artist or nothing like that. But I'm wondering how much of this stadium tour is the direct byproduct of this moment of the battle and then Not Like Us, and maybe it attracts certain people that maybe only are there for Not Like Us.
And Lauren disproves all this BS by sharing a clip she actually took at the show where you can hear the crowd going crazy for Kendrick. And again, this is not as he's performing Not Like Us.
Oh yeah, we live and direct in this motherfucker tonight. I feel it in the air. I feel the energy. Hold up. Feel a good one tonight. I see a lot of old faces in the building. I see a lot of new faces too. That's all right.
And she continues saying, academic reviews are literally that, reviews, and he's been fair-ish lately, but parts of what he said versus what it was giving in real life didn't add up. I mean, he said Kendrick destroyed hip-hop, but also said Kendrick was a great performer who didn't need a headline. Moral of the story, I had an expectation based off the reviews. It changed. Everything is subject to change, as you'll see below. I'm out. Catch me on the podcast's latest W, Lauren LaRosa, weekdays for your entertainment news. And she shared some more clips of Snacka Diddler talking about how he thinks Kendrick killed hip-hop and that this battle didn't fully destroy Drake.
That's why I said Kendrick ruined hip-hop, because ever since he came with that little battle energy, that's cool. Drake and Pusha T got into it. Nick said Pusha T won. You know what happened? Niggas moved on, and we just kept getting hits. This been like we've been frozen in May 2024 for a year. Nobody wants to drop music because you're watching the guys at the top just only focus on this beef that's a year old. I really think he ruined hip hop because of that. That's why I said YB, he's dropping new music. Carti, who dropped one of the albums of the year, they're making music.
Carti dropped the album,
but
yeah.
But here's the point I'm trying to say. When it comes to this, Kendrick, how did he done Drake? Like, you're acting like you said it was a knockout. I said, listen, the most I'll give you, if we're going to use a boxing comparison, yo, these are squabbling. I had Drake up on the scorecard. Facts. I had him up on the scorecard. He's giving that, he's outboxing on some Floyd shit. But I ain't going to cap with you. The reality, I'll say when Not Like Us dropped, that was like a rib shot. Like Drake, he took a standing 8. Word 2.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So
that's not no knockout.
So that so then what's the argument though? That's my question. What's the argument if he got knocked out? Even in Hard Part 6, he's almost admitting that he got knocked out. He's bowing out of the fight. He's throwing the white flag.
Yo, he had to take it to the streets, up his crib. What are you talking about?
And this is such a stupid narrative, Kendrick killed hip-hop. Kendrick did an interview where he literally said the reason why he did his Like That verse is because hip-hop felt like it was on the back burner. People weren't competing enough. You were seeing Cole and Drake hugging and kissing on stage and on First Person Shooter. They were celebrating being at the top, but hip-hop had been the most stagnant it had ever been. It took months and months before we got a number one hit, a hip-hop hit, in 2023. Kendrick revived the sport in 2024. Aside from the battle, he's gone on to have other massive moments, right? The Super Bowl, GNX, now this whole tour, right? He's creating moments. He's moving, he's advancing his career, reaching new heights, right? He's definitely at the top in terms of a commercial perspective right now in hip-hop. But the problem is that mainstream hip-hop was dying out before this battle took place. That's one of the main reasons why Kendrick emphasized he wanted to start this battle to begin with, to revive that competitive energy. He did that, and that's why he's now at the top. But you're still seeing the same stagnation from a lot of other artists within the game, right? We haven't seen J. Cole drop in years. We haven't seen A$AP Rocky drop in years. Pusha T hasn't dropped in years. Meek Mill. We haven't seen new superstars emerge aside from Doechii in the entire 2020s decade, right? Like, who can you say is a superstar from the 2020s decade? People wanted to say Lil Baby at one point. Then his flow became stagnated. He didn't really evolve. You saw a lot of rappers unfortunately lose their lives who were poised to be, the next superstars of this generation. XXX, Juice WRLD, Pop Smoke. A lot of these guys kind of fell off quality-wise who were poised to be the next up, right? Roddy Ricch started the decade with a number one hit with The Box. Now he's nowhere to be found. Same with The Baby. A Boogie with The Hoodie. Maybe JID can, go on to reach heights that we saw Drake and Kendrick and Cole reach in the early 2010s, but we also haven't heard an album from him in ages. This is kind of a tangent, but it's like hip-hop from a mainstream perspective, from a who's going to be the next superstar perspective, has been kind of dry for many, many years now, right? And if anything, it was the beef that kind of revived the sport. And that's why people are still talking about it to this day, because we haven't got a moment that big since May of 2024 when Drake and Kendrick went head-to-head. It wasn't that Kendrick killed hip-hop, it was that he elevated the standard, and we haven't seen anything like it since then. And we really haven't seen any major artists release big albums that could take away attention from that moment. And that's why it feels like hip-hop is in this stagnated place, because no one's really taken the baton to say, okay, I'm going to start creating new moments that are bigger than that. We, again, saw Doechii have a great moment last year. We saw Tyler, the Creator, have his moment. Playboi Carti as well. But who else have we really seen, right? It's not at all that Kendrick killed hip-hop. It's that Kendrick brought back a massive moment that we haven't seen in ages. And in a time when hip-hop has been incredibly stagnated from a mainstream commercial standpoint. So it's kind of like we're at a standstill right now waiting for the next moment. And in the meantime, Kendrick is the only one giving us anything noteworthy to talk about. I mean, even with Carti's album, Kendrick was one of the focal points, having 3 features on that project, right? It's not at all that Kendrick killed hip-hop, it's that he raised the bar and everyone's kind of afraid to jump up to it. But anyways, back to the henny-hogging Snackadiddler and Lauren LaRosa. So she goes on to post that same clip I showed you guys earlier of Akademiks shouting her out, saying that she would be a great fit on The Breakfast Club.
I just realized that this girl is the one who used to be on The Breakfast Club. Hey, iHeart, what's Shorty's name? Y'all need this girl up there at Breakfast Club, this Lauren LaRosa chick. Yo, she was fire up there. I ain't gonna lie. She's the only time, like, even with respect to Angela Yee, she's the only person I've ever seen, like, do y'all news report. And I actually see, like, oh, she's coming with facts, not just reading off blogs. She's doing some work. She's pretty good.
And she showed a final clip of Akadiddy proving that he was really trying to downplay what Kendrick was doing with this tour. The fact that he had a headliner with SZA.
Because I think, honestly, Kendrick didn't need no co-headliner. If it's what we talking about and it's really like that, because I think it is like that. I do think it's like that. I don't think he needed a co-headliner. I think he could have went out here and did by his damn self.
And Lauren's point was essentially to state that, like, the crowd was crazy for Kendrick. The merch sales were crazy. There's nothing to downplay with this moment, right? We haven't seen something like this in hip-hop ever. We haven't seen a stadium tour on this magnitude. We haven't seen crowds like this, right? And Akademiks, I mean, Lauren said it herself, right? She was going into this show with the narrative based off Akademiks' reviews that there might not be so much excitement here, right? People might not be singing every single word to every single song. The crowds might be weak. Maybe it wouldn't even sell out. Whatever the case is, she debunked that, right? And that's why initially she said Akademiks was lying. And of course, Snackadiddler would clap back with a response of his own, an hour-and-a-half response at that, and I am not watching an hour and a half of Akademiks ranting, so I got a couple clips for you guys about what he had to say, but of course, to no surprise, he did not want no smoke with Cam, Mace, and Treasure Wilson. This is a man who will only punch down, and he emphasizes this here.
It feels like all the DEI hires, all the third-string quarterbacks, all the people who are C, D, E, F, and Z mics on their respective shows, this is their time to try to clout chase. And I understand why, because I also sat back and thought, I'm like, how come they don't attack nobody else like this? Nobody will give them the time of day. But today I got time, cuh. You know, I'm never one to not give someone the clout they're desperately seeking. So this is why I really respond to people that's not in my league or caliber.
Right? He's only going after the people who are below him who are looking for clout. It's never anyone who's above him who might actually question what he's doing and be in a position more powerful than him to where if Akademiks calls them out, he'll be overpowered by the other person's bigger fan base. But Snackadiddler does basically sum this all up to the fact that people want him out of here, right? It's not anything he said downplaying the success of the GNX tour. No. It's that people just want him out of here, right? It's not that he's blatantly lying about Kendrick's tour and that's why he's getting called out for it. No, it's that everyone's trying to cancel Akademiks. There's this big conspiracy ever since he was doing that weird stuff with that kid on the Discord that now everyone just wants him out of here.
The public sentiment about me, there's so many people that they've been waiting. Yo, when are we going to get him out of here? They thought they had me. They tried to cancel me like 7 times. Didn't work. The last time, they really thought they had me. Big Act still somehow, and the chat, we prevailed. So I understand they can't wait for that moment. So anytime when something happens with me, I always see a bunch of people jump out the woodworks, and I'm always hitting y'all as I like, where'd this person come from?
And finally, Snackadiddler does emphasize to Treasure Wilson that she does not want the smoke, but again, because he is afraid of what Cam and Mace might say, he treads lightly and pays respect when it comes to her.
Shorty, the Cam and Mace show, she jumps in. Why is she jumping in? I don't know nothing about her. She jumps in after my tweet that doesn't mention her. Why is this man so angry? Ha ha ha. Lawrence said you lie about numbers. It translates all this. Laugh my ass. I think you need a vacay. Whoa. Got nothing to do with her. And I keep telling y'all, don't engage with me if y'all don't like the responses. She does a good job on the show, not knocking it. I'm giving everybody they just do because I'm here to also address everybody. I said I would violate you, but you know, just out of respect for Cam and Mace, just stay in a woman's place, shorty, please.
And I think that's a perfect way to sum up this entire story, right? This is what Snackadiddler thinks of women, right? Is that they should stay in their place, know their role. He concocts these false narratives and then plays the victim, acting like everyone's just trying to cancel him, when really any hatred, any disdain that's directed towards Akademiks is a direct result of negative comments and actions that he himself has committed. And until he owns up and takes accountability for the things he says, he'll be in a constant battle with people trying to come for his head. But let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.